Welcome to the Professor English podcast, where we don't just talk about English, we practice English. My name is Ryan, and I am your host. Today, we are going to use the expression add fuel to the fire, which means making a bad situation worse or making a difficult situation more complicated. As usual, instead of giving you long explanations, let's just jump right in and practice. If you are not sure how to use this phrase now, don't worry. After we practice using it together, you will be much more comfortable with this phrase. Before we begin, I just want to remind you that if you prefer some visual help with this exercise, you can always see the video version on my YouTube channel, Professor English ESL Class. Now, let's dive right in and start practicing English. Here is a simple sentence. Just try to repeat it. Lisa argued with the customer. Lisa argued with the customer. Lisa argued. Lisa argued with the customer. With the customer. Lisa argued with the customer. Okay, Lisa argued with the customer, but this made the situation worse. That's a bad situation when the customer argues with you. But it's worse, it makes the problem even worse if you argue with the customer, if you argue back. Lisa argued with the customer, but this made the situation worse. We can use add fuel to the fire here, which means making this bad situation, the customer is unhappy, worse, arguing with the customer, making the fire bigger. She argued with the customer, but it just added fuel to the fire. It, arguing with the customer, added fuel to the fire. It added fuel to the fire. It made the fire bigger, stronger. She argued with the customer, but it just added fuel to the fire. Can you repeat that? She argued with the customer, but it just added fuel with the fire. Let's change the sentence a little bit and say arguing with the customer. All situations like that. Arguing with the customer added fuel to the fire. Arguing with the customer added fuel to the fire. Arguing added fuel to the fire. Let's make a why question with arguing with the customer added fuel to the fire. How would you make a why question? Why did arguing with the customer? Why did arguing with the customer add fuel to the fire? Made the fire bigger. Why did arguing with the customer add fuel to the fire? The reason is it made the customer angrier. It made the customer angrier. Arguing with the customer added fuel to the fire because it made the customer angrier. It made the customer angrier. Made the customer angrier. Arguing with the customer added fuel to the fire. Arguing with the customer added fuel to the fire because it made the customer angrier. All right, fantastic job. Let's try another example. Here's another situation. The company was going bankrupt. The company was going bankrupt. So they decided to spend more money on advertising. They spent more money on advertising because they were going bankrupt. They wanted more business. But spending more money on advertising made the situation worse. Spending more money on advertising made the situation worse. The situation is they're going bankrupt. They don't have enough business. They don't have enough money, but spending money on advertising made that situation worse. It added fuel to the fire. Spending money on advertising added fuel to the fire, made the fire bigger. Spending money on advertising added fuel to the fire. How would you make a why question with that sentence? Spending money on advertising added fuel to the fire. Why did spending money on advertising? Why did spending money on advertising add fuel to the fire? Why did spending money on advertising add fuel to the fire? Why did spending money on advertising add fuel to the fire? Here is the reason: advertising was very expensive. Advertising was very expensive. Spending money on advertising added fuel to the fire because advertising was very expensive. Spending money on advertising added fuel to the fire, made the situation worse, made the fire bigger. Spending money on advertising added fuel to the fire because advertising was very expensive. All right, you're doing a super duper job. Let's try another example. But before we do, I just want to remind you, if you find these exercises helpful, please take a moment to subscribe to my channel so you won't miss the next lesson. And if you are watching this video on YouTube, please take a moment to press the like button. It helps my channel so much and lets me know that you want to see more fluency and listening comprehension exercises just like this one. Now, let's keep practicing English. Here is a new situation. Mark's wife was not happy because Mark was not making enough money. His wife was not happy because he wasn't making enough money. So, to fix this problem, Mark started working a second job. Mark got a second job to make more money. Okay, Mark got a second job. He got a second job. He started working a second job. Mark got a second job, but this made the situation worse. Mark got a second job, but getting a second job, made the situation worse. How can you say this made the situation worse in a different way? It added fuel to the fire. The fire is his wife is not happy. That's the problem. But him getting a second job, Mark getting a second job, added fuel to the fire. That made it worse. Now she's even less happy. He got a second job, but it added fuel to the fire. He got a second job, but it added fuel to the fire. We'll just make that shorter and say getting a second job added fuel to the fire. Can you repeat that? Getting a second job added fuel to the fire. All right, let's make a why question with that sentence. Getting a second job added fuel to the fire. Why did getting a second job? Why did getting a second job add fuel to the fire? Why did getting a second job add fuel to the fire? The reason is he wasn't spending enough time at home. He wasn't spending enough time at home. Getting a second job added fuel to the fire because he wasn't spending enough time at home. Getting a second job added fuel to the fire because he wasn't spending enough time at home. Getting a second job added fuel to the fire because he wasn't spending enough time at home. All right, you're doing a fantastic job. Let's try another example. Lisa is always getting in trouble at work for being late. That's the situation. And she's very close to being fired from her job. She promised never to be late for work again. But last night, she went out with some friends. She stayed out for most of the night. This caused her to be late again the next day. Being late again, added fuel to the fire. What is the fire here? It's her work situation. She's in trouble because she's always late. This made it much, much worse. This made the fire bigger. Being late again added fuel to the fire. Let's make a why question with that sentence. Why did being late Why did being late again Why did being late again add fuel to the fire? Why did being late again add fuel to the fire? Here is the reason. She was already in trouble. Being late again added fuel to the fire because she was already in trouble. Being late again added fuel to the fire because she was already in trouble. All right, you did an amazing job today. You learned some fantastic English, and I knew that you could do it. Remember that practice makes perfect. So you should repeat this exercise several times, not just so you can remember how to use add fuel to the fire, but also to improve your listening and your speaking skills. It's been really fun practicing English with you today, and I hope to see you again real soon. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to press the like button. See you in the next video with more interesting words and phrases.